Hi, and welcome to the KKW Podcast. This is Dustin, joined by Eddie, and we're really excited to be bringing you guys episode number 2. Eddie, how's it going?
Number 2 is going good. Pleasure to be here again, Dustin. We're here with number 2.
Yeah,
we got some great topics, some great things to talk about again. So I'm pretty sure the drivers are going to love this one just as well as they loved the last one.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got some really good feedback about episode 1 in the monthly email. So I know as far as it's gone for me, walking, around the office, drivers stopping by, they're like, hey, great job. I loved listening to you guys.
You're a star around here, Dustin.
Well, it was really, it's hearing feedback and knowing that the drivers enjoyed the show is the ultimate response for me. Because our job is really just to provide you guys with information and
just make it to where we can reach out to the drivers that's on the road that don't get here and don't come around the office a lot, just to share some of the things and new things that we're doing around the building. This podcast is great, and I hope you guys enjoy number 2 just as well as you enjoyed number 1.
All right, well, before we jump into the show, I did kind of want to just do a rundown of our topics. So we're going to be talking about some driver feedback, the California Vehicle Safety Summit, and winter safety with Casey from the Safety Department. We're going to talk about driver health with Chris, and he's actually the guy who set up some of the new gym equipment. If you haven't stopped, if you've stopped in there,
if you haven't, you need to come see what he's done so far.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
It is.
He has some tips and advice in regards to driver health. We're actually going to call a driver, which is going to be pretty interesting. I'm excited to do that. We haven't done that before.
One of our trainers. We're going to call one of our trainers. He's actually out training right now.
And we're going to end the show. We're just going to discuss a little bit about Halloween and social media. So to jump back to the top of that list, I did want to talk about some of the changes that we've made thanks to driver feedback. So real quick, how do the drivers actually give feedback?
We have a suggestion box in the break room where you can come write a suggestion and drop it in a box. You can put your name, your truck number, or you can just stay anonymous. It's up to you. Or you can even reach over to the recruiters and leave a suggestion. Or you can get to Alicia in the recruiting department.
Suggestions.
She's the recruiting manager. A lot of times she reach out to the drivers and get some feedback from them. And you guys are welcome to just contact her and give her some feedback and see if you can get some things changed around here.
All right. Well, first up on the list of changes is actually we ended up getting a new dryer. Apparently, the old dryer was not heating properly or something like that.
Right.
And they had Pat come in and actually replace it.
We tried to repair it first, but we actually got a new one. So I just tell you guys to take care of it like it's yours at your house because this is your house as well. That's pretty cool, and that came from something out of the suggestion box. So that's amazing to see changes really being made.
Yeah, next on the list, something came straight from driver feedback was we upgraded our TV in the driver lounge to DirecTV.
Correct.
Which was pretty exciting. I know a bunch of the drivers on social media had reached out. They wanted to kind of know what the packages and channels are. So I think it's pretty good from my understanding, and I haven't heard any complaints. So next up is the upgraded equipment in the gym. So for anybody that's watched the daily videos that I put out, hopefully you saw Chris and I actually build the new cable machine in the gym and unpackage all the new equipment. It's incredible that Dennis Firestone stepped up and said, let's revamp the whole thing. Let's make it more valuable so people use it and it doesn't just sit there.
Right. That's amazing that he cares about the drivers that much. And that used to be actually a racquetball room. They converted it into a gym. So if you hit the walls, they're solid because they used to play racquetball there. And a lot of the drivers used to love it being a racquetball room, but they felt it would help drivers more if it was a place where you can go and work out and exercise.
Absolutely. And then I believe we are still working on upgrading the ice machine.
Not upgrading it, actually getting one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was one of the suggestions that the drivers put in the box as well. They would like an ice box, an ice maker. So we're working on it. We're trying to find one at a good price. So once we find one at a good price, we'll have an ice maker.
That's awesome. I wanted to round out the end of that with we do have a Facebook group for drivers now. And the whole point of the group is so that drivers can connect with each other. They can share photos or thoughts from the road, and they can ask questions. They can ask each other, anybody have any advice? Anybody know anything about this area that I should know, or where do I go for this?
Wow, where is that? I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, I'll actually include a link in the monthly email that goes out to all of our drivers.
Okay.
And then I'm going to try and make sure I send it to everyone local and everyone remote on our email lists.
How cool.
And there should be a link, and you can just register. And it's closed group, so it's only for our drivers.
Okay.
And it's a safe group. It's not a place where like corporate's here, super monitoring this thing. We want drivers to be able to communicate with each other and have a place where they can go.
Wow.
So it's something we set up, last month, and slowly but surely people are joining. And like I said, I'll include the link again in this month's email.
Cool deal. That'll work. All right, up next we have Casey Swim here from the safety department. Hey, Casey, how you doing?
Hey, Casey.
Good, Eddie. How are you? Dustin, how are you?
Good.
Pretty good. Glad to have you here. I just wanted to talk about a little bit about the Vehicle Safety Summit that we went to last week. What did you think about it?
Actually, it was very informative as far as the CHP perspective on all of our drivers. With what was related back and forth to us as far as our point systems, I believe from here on out we all will have a better understanding, at least from the safety department, what's going on, and we can conversely, speak directly to the drivers if they have any questions on it and their hours of service violations and so forth.
Right. What was the greatest thing that you took from the Vehicle Safety Summit, you would say?
I would have to say overall, for me personally, it would have to end up being how the CHP officers and FMCSA derives all the point systems itself.
Correct. I would say the same thing. Yeah. I like seeing that, how they break it down.
The algorithm portion of it, none of us will probably ever understand. That's for the FMCSA to figure out on their own. But just to see what the scores end up being like every single, for every, like the driver fitness, hours of service, everything like that, how it's contrived is just, it's kind of mind-boggling how that algorithm works. But
so the safety score is just like an overall summary of a company's drivers?
Correct. There is a peak, if you will. It ends up being, X number at this point. And if we go over that threshold, then we're automatically in for an inspection.
Okay.
And this bid inspection is, given to us by CHP, and we have no choice.
Gotcha.
So we want to keep our hours of service scores, our driver fitness scores, everything that we have that attributes to it at the minimum.
Okay.
Cool deal. Since we're talking on safety, let's talk about the biggest season that's coming upon us right now, and that will be the snow season.
The snow season.
Winter is
yes,
coming.
sir. So,
season.
What advice would you have for the drivers to keep them safe out there in the snow around this time of the year?
I would say not to be complacent. I grew up in the snow. I grew up driving in the snow. My biggest advice basically to give somebody is you do not drive the same way in the summer or the winter or the fall or the spring. Each season, to me, basically, you have to drive differently.
Correct.
Spring and summer, we have the rains. Fall and winter, we have the snow, obviously. The snow, even if it's dry outside, it doesn't say anything about black ice.
Correct.
Because of the heat factor, right? There is no heat out there. We're freezing our butts off.
Mm-hmm.
So there can be black ice. It may not look like it. There may not hardly even be any snow on the ground. But all of a sudden, overnight, just because of fog issues or whatever happened, temperature-wise, it's cold enough, it freezes on the pavement.
So what temperature freezes where is black ice?
Black ice will technically come around depending upon the wind shears. The wind has to take a factor in it. But it's going to typically be between 30 and 32 degrees.
Okay.
Now, for major buildup to be on that, it's obviously going to be a little bit colder.
Correct. Just
because of traffic. Every time that there's type of friction, it's going to create heat. So that's not going to be, ground also has heat. So the outdoor temperature in itself is not going to create ice on the roadway.
Right.
It's going to have a combination of several items. So just because, our trucks are equipped with outdoor temperature gauges. So just because it says it's 32 degrees out there doesn't necessarily mean that if there's water on the freeway, it's going to freeze.
Right.
But our drivers still need to be aware that the possibility is extremely high.
Right. I say when it's like 40 degrees or below outside and you're on the road and you think that there's water on the ground, that can actually be black ice. Because that's how I learned what black ice was. I'm from Southern California. I had never seen snow until I got in the truck. And then my trainer was like, hey, just feel that right there on the ground. And I'm like, that water? He's like, go touch it. and it was ice. And I was like, wow, that's what black ice is?
Yeah. I don't know if a lot of the newer drivers are privy to the information, but a good way to tell if that roadway is iced over is to look at your mirror. Just because there's water molecules in the air, if your back of your mirrors tend to get a little ice on them, guess what? You're going to have ice on the roadway as well.
Okay, that's great to know. I never knew that.
No. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Mr. Case.
Hey, not a problem.
All right.
But the biggest one factor is, overall is speed.
Slow down.
Yeah, the drivers tend not to slow down in these type of conditions. Like I said, especially going over mountain passes, you never know what's going to happen.
Right. Right.
Snow, ice. It could be sunny outside and there still be ice on the roadway.
Right. And I was always taught to never run your Jakes in the snow.
Correct. Any type of possibly slick conditions.
Okay.
You do not want to run your Jake. Now, unfortunately, I have to admit, I was a Jake brake freak. I never got off my Jake brake, but I also went well below the speed limit when I knew the weather conditions were warranting it.
Right.
And then the other thing you could always do, because you get off the level 3 Jake and get it back down into number 1 or something. Lessen that Jake severity of it.
Right. How do you feel about chaining up? Because I notice a lot of drivers are scared to chain up. Like, I don't want to chain up. I shouldn't be on the road if I have to chain up. What would you say about chaining up?
Me personally, I never worried about chaining up. If I had to chain up, I chained up.
Right.
All right. You are the captain of that ship. It doesn't take long to chain up once you know how to do it. Truly, it doesn't.
Right.
Half hour, 45 minutes. And that's 8 chains.
Right.
Because a lot of, depending upon the location and state you're in, you're going to end up having to run drag chains. I never worried about it. I would throw my chains on the tires. I'd roll over a few feet, get all of them hooked up, take back off.
Right.
A lot of drivers, I know last year we had a huge issue with chains popping off tires and damaging the trucks, having the fairings and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's related to speed. Chains do not fall off a tire just because.
Really? I thought they were putting them on incorrectly.
No, they can put them on correctly, but as long as if they do not bungee them, and sometimes even if you bungee them and you travel too fast, guess what happens?
They pop off.
Chains pop off.
Gotcha. Oh.
So when you're traveling down the road with chains on, you're going to have to pull over intermittently as long as you're still expected to have those chains on and check them.
Correct. Okay. Well, if you guys out there need some help chaining up or need me to go over it with you again, you can come and see me. We also have a video on YouTube. You can just type KKW Snow. And the first video that pops up, that's ours. You can watch that video and it'll show you exactly how to chain up.
Eddie, I'll be sure to link that in the monthly email as well. So then it's just there. Everyone should have it in their inbox.
That'll work.
So, all right. Casey, can you tell us a little bit about your kind of history with the company and just while we have you,
Sure.
How you started here?
Yeah, not a problem. I was going for my refresher course. I started out driving, actually, guys. Don't tell the law. All right. I started actually driving truck when I was 16. Yeah. It was on city streets in the hometown I grew up in. It was only about 8,000 people in the hometown, so the cops were all our friends, but so nobody really cared. It was for the same company my dad worked for at the time, and in the summers I would work for them. And
Gotcha.
They needed help with the dock, and we had 2 different docks, one in the back of the building, one in the front of the building. Now, the situation with the building, it was over a quarter mile long.
Oh, wow.
So we had to go from one corner to the other corner, and the only way to do that was out on the city streets with our trucks. And I started driving flatbed, doing that. When I became old enough to drive, actually, then I went ahead and got my CDL. Back in 1988, I actually moved here to California. Not too far from here. I actually had a job over off a reservoir in 60 in Pomona. And I did that for just about a year and a half or so, hauling insulation. And after that, I let my CDL lapse for a while. And my son was at that age where, at the time back in 2010, I'm like, all right, I'm going to get back into this.
Right.
So I got back into it, got my certification again.
And where'd you get recertified from?
Actually from AIT out of Phoenix.
That's a great school. They put a lot into their drivers.
And unfortunately the expense behind it, but the knowledge you get out of that facility is incredible.
AIT, they have a lifetime refresher course. So if you ever feel like you need to get back into it, you can go back to that school for free. You don't pay anything.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a great school. Unfortunately, I think the only bad thing about it, when you go in there, not as a refresher, but as a brand new student, it's pretty much Warner operated right now.
Right.
That's the only negative I see about it. But the knowledge you gain is second to none, in my opinion.
Right.
Truly. One of the other better ones out there we've all heard is Southwest Truck Driving School. Okay? They don't even compare to AIT.
Wow. And that's a pretty good school, too.
It is.
But really AIT, the drivers that come from there, they're stars.
They are.
So that's Casey.
Hey.
Uh-oh.
What do you know? But I started with KKW back in April of 2014. Was on the road for a while. Became a trainer 1 week after I started with the company. I got a phone call from Tim and Steve. And they said they had already talked to Benninghoff and said, this is the first time it's ever happened, but we feel that he can do it. He's only been with the company a week, but let's do it.
Breaking records.
And
there you go.
Benninghoff said, put him on. So I started training. And what was it, last December? Mr. Eddie, you were going to go on vacation.
And you came in to run orientation. You called me in
to help run orientation, and then I've been here ever since. Sarah picked me up.
He did such a good job when he came in to run orientation, the safety department stole him from him.
So the things I did in from the two driving jobs aspects, I was a project manager, so I've got a lot of management experience as well. And the safety department liked it, so.
That's awesome.
Good
I'm
deal.
Here to stay at this point.
Good deal.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. Well, as far as safety goes, this will probably pop up with different things. So we'd love to have you back on the show in the
anytime.
future.
Glad to be here. It was fun.
We might have a safety segment every time we do this. I think it'll be great.
Yeah.
Hey, at least something, maybe a little bit here and there.
Yeah, because they say safety is our number one priority, so we got to make sure we stick to our number one.
Safety is not always the good thing, but hey, we can have fun with it, right?
Absolutely.
And drivers, stop being scared of the safety department. They're not the cops. They want to make sure you guys are safe and make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do out there.
Exactly. Well said, Eddie. Yeah. Guys, please, we're not here to point blame on anybody. We're here to help you guys out as much as we can. I truly believe that. I'm not going to point fingers at anybody.
All righty. Thanks for stopping in with us, Casey.
My
Thanks
pleasure.
for sharing.
Thank you.
Hope you guys learned something. Know how to ride in the snow. Don't go too fast. Slow down.
And ask questions.
Ask questions. The
Definitely
only dumb
ask
question is the question you don't ask.
All right, Eddie. Now we're joined by Chris, one of our recruiters. Chris, say hello.
Hey, everybody.
All right. Well, we're bringing Chris on the podcast this week because we had, as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, we did some upgrades to the gym, and Chris was actually responsible for that. So, Chris, if you could tell us a little bit about the new equipment and then some of the stuff you're going to be doing going forward.
Well, before I actually got the equipment, I took a look around it myself as somebody who used to train, and saw that the equipment in there to actually help anyone with their health and fitness was very poor. You had to really do a lot in there in order to even get a decent workout. So because as a person who would not even be able to work out on there myself, we spoke to Dennis and a couple of the executives and just went over everything on what we think would benefit drivers.
Sure.
Not everybody comes to this location, but the ones that do, it would be beneficial for them to get some type of, exercise, especially sitting all day while they're driving.
Right.
And then my mother is a driver, and I saw her health start to fail. So I do take that very personal.
Sure.
So the equipment that we have in there now just gives a new avenue to working out a lot of the different areas drivers need.
Right.
So instead of having a lot of old equipment, we kind of replaced it all with the cable machine.
Right.
And we've already began talking about getting a Smith in there for drivers who like to lift a little heavier.
Okay.
So that they, keep their size on them and keep their strength, because we do want strong drivers as well as healthy.
Absolutely.
So just taking steps in the right direction, getting new cardio equipment was important, just because, your heart health is just as important as your muscles, because your heart is a muscle.
Definitely.
So you want to make sure that that is something you're working on every single day. So basically the cable equipment is so versatile that you can work on everything from head to toe.
Okay.
Moving forward, what I like to do is just make little snippets of different exercises that you can do, because not all drivers know what they can do with it.
Okay.
Right.
So because of that, we'll make little videos, little episodes of maybe a workout of the week.
That'd be
Maybe
cool.
have a driver, post about what they did, show us how many reps, if they're improving at all, if they're starting to lose weight, or, fit an outfit that they haven't been able to fit in years.
That'd be great.
That would be something that I would love to see.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, of course, if anybody hasn't seen it, Chris and I we did a video where we set up the cable machine, and that thing was actually kind of complicated when you look at it. Although if we were to do it again, we'd know what we're doing, right?
Right. Yeah, it's it just goes to show how much, we care about our drivers. The fact that we had to put it together ourselves. Yeah. I do want drivers to remember that, we put our time and energy into looking for it and putting it together for them.
And also big ups to all of the drivers that put that suggestion in the suggestion box that made it come to life.
That was amazing. I appreciate every person who takes this type of thing seriously because, tomorrow's not promised. And any person who is willing to put in the work should have some equipment that can help them in that way.
Right. And also with that workout, if we could get like some kind of meal plan out of it too, Chris, that'd be great.
See, the thing, I feel like there's a lot that goes into eating. And before I ever gave anybody a meal plan, I would ask them how their water consumption was, because that tells me a lot about your discipline. If you're not even drinking enough water throughout the day, something you don't have to prepare, you don't have to cook, all you have to do is pour it and drink it. If you're not doing the basics of that, you have no right to even ask for what you should be eating.
So myself, how much water should I consume in a day?
If you're not drinking any right now, you should start with half a gallon because that is just going to get you on the right track. You will have to use the bathroom a lot, but it's healthy for you. It gets your liver clean, and you want to make sure that it stays clean. Because if it fails, that's the worst. My aunt is currently going through that, and it's the worst health concern that you can have. So start out with half a gallon. It's not the worst, but you start in the morning. Even if you get a gallon and you just mark it, like by 10 o'clock, I should have drunken this much. By noon, this should be gone. By 2 o'clock, this whole thing should be gone. That's the type of discipline you want to give yourself, because water is important. It is the most important element that you can have in your body.
Everybody take notes. He just gave us some free tips. He's actually a personal trainer as well, so he just gave us some free tips. So take notes, because I know I am.
So, Chris, while you're here, if you want to just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that you've done some professional dancing, and you also do photography.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about dancing?
Dancing it was one of those things that I did when I was young. I didn't think it would take off the way that it did.
Sure.
Being asked to travel, the world just to teach and battle and do judging and workshops and things like that. It was one of those things where it was a hobby, and it became something that just kind of introduced me to people that couldn't even speak my language. And I was like, wow, I never thought it would go this far, just from a house party setting to getting on a plane, meeting different people.
And where did it take you? Where did you go?
I've been to, I actually just had a trip to Canada that I had to cancel. Japan was a thing. I've been offered a trip to Germany, but I couldn't because my son was born at the time, so I had to turn it away. But all over, honestly, especially all over the U.S., it's been a blessing to just be invited to something like that.
For sure.
Yes, you the man. You the man.
Now, you also do photography, correct?
Yes. Photography is more of a hobby because my dancing career is ending this year.
Oh, okay.
It's getting to a point to where it's starting to hurt my body, and I want to be able to be as active as I can be. And the dancing I do is very rigorous. Like, it takes a lot of energy to do. So my back is hurting, my neck is hurting the next day. I'm just starting to see the health concerns of it. So I'm not as young as I used to be. So I'm just taking that into consideration. So photography was an avenue for me to stay creative. So I picked it up, and before I knew it, I started taking pictures that people like to see. So now I'm doing photo shoots. I actually have one today for breast cancer awareness. Around 7 today.
Oh, wow.
And then another one tomorrow. So it's just, little things start to pick up. And
well, I've seen some of your photographs. You showed me one of your son at the beach, and I was blown away.
That's my favorite picture.
Great photo.
I've seen one he took of his wife, and it was kind of blurred in the background.
And
great.
It makes it so easy that I have a family that's photogenic.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to go far to take a picture.
Right.
I can just do it in my living room if it came down to it. But yeah, they help me a lot. They're definitely my inspiration for everything that I do.
That's what's up.
Well, as a recruiter with KKW, I did want to ask you. So, for all of our drivers out there, a lot of them probably know you or Israel, but we do have a referral program for drivers, and I just wanted to know if you could explain a little bit how they can actually refer a driver to you and then get credit for that.
Pretty much. I always like to speak to our drivers during the onboarding step when they come into orientation and give them a card.
Okay.
On the back of my business cards, and I always recommend this way so that they're not giving out their personal information to drivers they don't know.
Okay.
It has an area where they can put their first and their last name, and then their truck number in case, somebody here has the same name. They always want to make sure they put their first and their last, because if they say, hey, a driver Jeff referred me, there could be more than one Jeff. And I don't want to, not be able to give the referral bonus to someone.
Right.
So just as long as they have a business card of mine, or if it's a friend of the family, something like that, somebody close, they can just reach out to me and let me know they're going to call. That way I can automatically put their name on the list, like, okay, this person is the referral. And once they get their first dispatch, they'll get $250 and then another $250 after they've been with KKW for 1 month.
Okay. All right. That sounds great. Well, did you have any final thoughts or final words before you sign off?
Use the gym, everybody. It's important. I would love to see everybody in there get a sweat, going. So your health is important. Take care of yourselves. The longevity of your life is important, not just to KKW, but to your families.
Correct.
So make sure you guys are taking care of yourself out there and drive safe.
And for the ones that don't know, that was a racquetball room, and Mr. Firestone converted it into a gym to keep the drivers healthy. And the most we used to catch drivers in there doing is sitting down eating a hamburger. So that's why he was a little bit, when it was time to upgrade, he was like, are they going to use it?
Yeah.
So please come and use the gym so we can get more equipment.
And for those who are competitive, because I also competed in some fitness competitions, for those that are competitive, I'm thinking about doing some type of competition where they can get a reward. So it might be like a fat loss challenge.
Okay.
It may be like muscle growth. It may be a mile run and you have to beat a certain time. Just things where you can actually have a goal, because some people don't have goals.
Right.
And it's always good to put those competitive natures against each other.
Right.
And if you don't win, you really do win.
Right.
Because you got better. And that's really what I want to see.
Right. It's no loser.
Exactly.
There you go.
All right. Well, Chris, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
And like we said, if you have a referral or you want to reach out to Chris about any of the gym equipment or, just about how the gym stuff works.
Please come see me. Please.
Feel free.
Because I do not want anyone in there who is intimidated by a piece of new equipment. I used to see it all the time as a trainer. People would avoid working out because they don't want to look dumb. And there's no dumb questions when it comes to working out. You're not expected to know everything. I don't know everything, but things I don't know, I ask. So feel free to come and by my office, even if it's not about a referral. Just come and speak to me, say hi, especially if you're my driver. Come say hello.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, thank you, Chris.
All right.
Appreciate it. Have a great day and go get them drivers. All righty. We're getting ready to give Mike Hogan a call. He's one of our trainers over here at KKW. So here we go. Give me 1 second. Bear with me. And he actually has a trainee with him right now.
Hey, Eddie.
Hey, Mike. What's going on, buddy?
Not much. How's everything going with you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Just calling to check on you guys to see how it's going out there.
Oh, right on.
How's it going, Mike? This is Dustin on the podcast.
Pretty good. How you doing, Dustin?
Doing well, man. Excited that we could actually get you on the show right now. Do you have anything you want to say? Put you on the spot.
I don't even know. Put me on the spot, man. I mean, I'll tell you, I love this company. I love everything about it. Everything that Eddie asked me I was looking for in the company, I finally found it. So I'm happy to be part of KKW and appreciate the fact that I get an opportunity to share some of my skill sets with new drivers and try to mentor guys. It's a great feeling, and just so I can help other guys and something that I enjoy myself doing. So
that's
good
awesome.
Deal. Hey, since you told us some good things that you like about the company, what don't you like?
You hear that silence?
Yeah. Perfect.
That's what I don't like. There's nothing I can say.
Perfect. Good
You know,
deal.
when I need to get home and I have an issue, dispatch is great. They work with me. What's there not to like?
There you go. I love it.
Keep me rolling. I mean, like I said, you asked me what I don't like. You heard the silence.
There
That's
you
what I
go.
have to say about that.
All right, Mike, I ain't going to hold you up too long because we have a few other things we need to do. A pleasure having you on the podcast. Thanks for training with the company. And I'll see you soon. Let me know. Give me a heads up when you and Dave are heading back so I can start prepping a truck for him.
Thank you as well.
All right, buddy.
Take
have
care,
a good
man.
one.
All right, and to wrap up our episode this week, I wanted to talk a little bit about Halloween And of course, we're having a costume contest here at KKW, but I wanted to throw it out to all of our drivers and remote operations. If you're doing anything for Halloween, go ahead and take pictures, take some video, whatever you want to do. And if you forward it to me, either through email or social media, wherever you want, I will be sure to share it. So if there's anything you want to get out, just go ahead and forward me an email. My email is dgarbaziak, that's DGARBACIAK at kkwtrucks.com. So I know my last name is actually hard to spell. But Eddie, you've been here. What was is the costume contest pretty good?
Oh, yeah, it was good. Last year, I don't know what I was. I think I gave myself like 5 different names. I had a mustache going on. I had these big gold chains on, and
Nice.
It was crazy. I think I did win. I was like 2nd or 3rd place. So this year, I'm going for 1st place. So I might come in here looking like Medea.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I know as far as the costume contest goes, I'm not sure because, I'm new here, haven't been here for Halloween. So I don't know what the specific rules are, but I'm assuming just kind of best costume wins.
Best costume.
People vote on it.
Best costume. And I'll tell you, to win, you need to have a costume you made up. If it's a costume you bought, it won't win. And back to the photos, I know you're dressing, your kids will be dressed up. If you're on the road at the time and the family take them out, just send Dustin pictures of your family or whatever pictures you want to share with us. I know you guys are going to have some great ones to share. Send them over to Dustin and he'll put them out there for everybody to see.
So, and I'll be sharing, all the costumes from here as well. I also wanted to just, while we're on the topic of sending me photos or anything, if you're out on the road and you take pictures of your truck or a sunset or anything that's, beautiful or amazing or even kind of quirky, just forward it along. Because I love, seeing what it's like out on the road and, getting to share those experiences.
Correct. And it is snow season now, so you can take some beautiful pictures of your truck in the snow. Send them over.
So, yeah. And then just to wrap up the podcast, of course, as you saw this episode, we brought on guests to come on the podcast. So if you're open or would like to come on and share some stories or have something unique, let us know and we'll book it. So, I think we would like to have some drivers come on, again. And we would also like to bring on, whether they're here in the office or if we have to Skype them in or give them a call, we would like to have some of our remote operations come on the show.
Yeah,
talk about experiences at the different yards and what's going on kind of outside of here. So
that'd be great. And also, I think on the next podcast, we might add a prank call or something. And
that would be fun.
Prank somebody.
I know
it might be somebody in the office. I don't know so much if we want to prank a driver.
If you watch any of my videos, I know I said at some point I want to try to prank Ryan, our new Portland manager.
That'd be great.
I'm like, hey, so maybe we'll do that on air. Ryan, if you're listening, I won't do that. But all right, well, that actually kind of wraps up our episode this week. So we do want to end the episode by saying thank you so much to all of our drivers for what you do.
Thank you to everybody, and happy birthday to everybody that has a birthday in the month of October.
Yep. And like I said, we'll be back. Each episode will be included in the monthly email as well as posted to SoundCloud, on YouTube, iTunes, and the Google Play Store. So you should be able to find the show, and you can either stream it or you can download it whenever you have Wi-Fi and listen to it on your device without, wasting your data. So it's on a bunch of different locations, and if none of those work for you, just contact me and I'll see if I can upload it somewhere that does. So I'm willing to work with anybody on that.
Right.
But I wanted to say thank you again, everybody that tuned in. Eddie, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me again.
And a big thank you to our guests, everybody that came on, Casey, Chris, and Mike. Just wanted to say thank you so much, and hope everybody enjoyed the show.
All right. Have a great day, everybody.